Montana State University, a school situated in the heart of the Gallatin Valley, surrounded by the Rocky Mountains. Within the beauty of the Big Sky is Brick Breeden Fieldhouse, and in the winter, it's home to Bobcat basketball.
Montana State hands Eastern Washington their first loss in Big Sky play. The Cats maintain their dominance on the home floor. Turner to the mid-post, alley-oop, Olmstead slam, and one! Jones swatted! Brian Garacki, the D9 in the front court.
The men's basketball program, once nicknamed the Golden Bobcats, an ode to what's considered one of the best college basketball programs in the first half of the 20th century. They revolutionized the fast break offense and paired it with the high-pressure defense, something never seen before. Fast forward nearly a century later, they've captured the glory of repeat championships once again, after decades of a drought. So welcome to the golden age of the modern day.
Picked off Rob Ford, his 100th steal of the year, and that will ice it. The Golden Bobcats continue their march. Montana State has done it.
It was like, no one really believed we could do it, especially after the rebuild that we kind of had to go through. And so to be able to, stamp yourself as a three-time champ that way really, means a lot.
Robert Ford III, an MVP performance, and the Bobcats are three-time champs.
It was a special year, and I couldn't have wanted it any other way. I'm glad I returned, and I'm glad it happened this way with this team.
These are the good old days. Montana State wins the 2024 Big Sky Tournament Championship.
It's so obvious and so true that this program is experiencing sustained success that it really hasn't experienced since the 20s, really.
Having three in a row, I don't know if it was something I could have even dreamed of, back when in 2016 when I came here.
The Bobcats now have won their 9th consecutive Big Sky Tournament game. That is the longest tournament winning streak in Big Sky Tournament history.
The journey to 3 straight conference titles, 3 consecutive trips to March Madness, all began 5 years ago.
It was always a natural fit for me. I just had to get across my passion for Montana State and what I thought I could be able to do there and achieve there. And I had to get you still have to get it through, through the interview process to get the job. And fortunately for me, Leon and Waded thought I was the guy, and then we started off.
We needed a spark, and we needed an energy to really kind of light the fire again.
Definitely saw more community involvement. When Sprinkle got here, there just seemed to be more, fans at the game, and it was just more fun to watch, honestly.
It ignited that passion again, and if you look at the crowd of people that were in Inspiration Hall the day we announced Andy's hiring, I mean, the athletic trainer from when he was playing, the radio guy from when he was playing, I was there, and I mean, many of his teammates came back just for that. So it was really a special moment.
Sprinkle, a first-time head coach, was taking over the program he left his mark on as a player. They hadn't won the Big Sky Tournament since his 30-point performance in 1996 to lift them over Weber State in the championship game. They hadn't won more than 3 Big Sky Tournament games since 2000, but the Helena native was determined to bring success and a legacy back to the Montana State program.
It was all about winning. It was all about success on the court, in the classroom. He recruited great people.
The first kid we ever signed, I remember him signing it right on my desk. It was just me and him on the visit, because at the time, even though I inherited Chris Haslam, there was still some, things that we had to do, paperwork-wise, so it was just me and Xavier Bishop on the visit.
He said he wanted to win. Said he wanted to win a championship, and the way he talked about it, you believed in his vision, and I believed in it, and he believed in me, and, we took a chance on each other for sure.
In the 2019-2020 season, Bishop would have to sit out a year. That was the old protocol for transfers. The team finished 10-10 in conference, 16-15 overall. The program had momentum to finally make another run in the tournament, bought into Sprinkle's goals. Unfortunately, due to COVID-19, that tournament was canceled.
We had a really emotional talk in that conference room, and when you're looking at Harold Frey and Layden Ricketts and those guys that really helped us establish that first year program and the culture, it was hard to tell those guys that it was over.
the COVID spring, when that tournament was wiped out, I think we all kind of felt cheated because I think there was sort of a feeling that the men were going to go to Boise and really do something special.
Then the Big Sky, like all conferences, had to get creative to play their next season. The solution was to play the same school back-to-back on Thursday and Saturday, staying to play both games either at the opponent or at home.
We would have games or whatever where we'd play for like 2 weeks straight, but then we'd have, 2 weeks where we would get contact traced and we'd have to like sit, and we couldn't get in a gym or anything. And so then you got to come back and resume the season just like you were, but you haven't touched a ball for 2 weeks as a team.
The team finished 8-6 in conference with 4 games canceled due to COVID-19, the series against the Grizz and against Idaho State. They now were primed and hungry to play in the Big Sky tournament.
I already knew, how to motivate our team before we played Idaho State for that game. And then, then we played Southern Utah, who might have been the most talented team in the league that year. They were the #1 seed. We ended up knocking them off. Jabril made a shot to put it into overtime, and then we won in overtime.
I mean, it was a long dry spell in the tournament. To get to the championship game, I think we all sort of felt that, we got something go.
Their run came to a stop. Eastern Washington punched their ticket to March Madness, rolling past the Bobcats 65-55.
I still remember that pain. I still remember that hurt from losing that, and just being that close to a dream of playing the NCAA tournament. We were 40 minutes away.
The fact that we, saw that we can get there, that whole offseason was really geared towards getting back there.
Because of COVID-19, Bishop was granted another season with the Bobcats. He and his fellow seniors made the decision to return with some unfinished business to take care of.
It was mainly because of the vision, Coach Spring's vision. We saw it. We knew what we were capable of. We were returning a lot. Teammates really got along. We had a lot of talent, and we believe what. We believe we could win it.
The belief was seen in the first game of the season at Colorado. MSU came out with the early lead against the Buffs and took the Power 5 program to overtime. Even though they came up short, it felt like the beginning of something special.
That was like the stepping stone to like what really could we do. I was talking to Jed Miller, and he said that's why he committed, because he was like, this is awesome. That
Colorado game definitely opened up a lot of eyes, and not only in our locker room but also across the country.
I was steaming the whole 3-hour bus ride home, but I knew the team had a chance to do something special.
We had like a little team meeting when we came back off the bus. I don't know, it was like midnight, but he all gathered us at the middle of the court, and he brought out his championship net from when he was a player.
He talked about the only way you'll leave a legacy is if you win a championship, and we felt that.
If they wanted to put a ring on their finger and win a championship and be remembered forever, it started tomorrow, and we're not losing the rest of the year.
The team finished 16-4 in conference, brought home a regular season championship, and had the 1 seed going into the Big Sky tournament.
The teams that have gone through here have, once it's tournament time, it's time to lock in.
Our motto that year was "Smell the chicken wings," and we were smelling them. We were smelling them all year. We felt a little pressure coming in #1, but for the most part, we felt we belonged.
I felt like our team had that edge and that toughness about them, where it didn't matter where we played. We knew we were going to win the game. And we knew from a physical standpoint that we were going to be the most physical team in that league, and we really prided ourselves on that.
The team then faced Weber State in the semifinals. After an intense back-and-forth all game, the Bobcats had the 69-66 lead and needed to defend the final possession of the game.
All our practices and conference play and in the tournament are 90% defense. They say defense wins championships, and it kind of seems like that's what we've been rolling with.
Northern Colorado, we felt it. We felt that we were locked in. I don't think anybody said anything before the game. Coach Spring didn't give a crazy speech. It was more like, all right, we're here.
For the first time in 26 years, This program was bringing home a Big Sky championship to Bozeman.
I'll tell you what, that weekend in Boise was crazy. I was calling it Bozeman.
I remember being in my kitchen before we left, and I was like, the next time I come back here, like, we're gonna be champions. Like, I just knew it.
Was the exact reason why we brought Danny back here. Was to take us to that next level and get us to the NCAA tournament.
It's just something I'd never seen in my lifetime, and I know this community has been wanting that for so long. So to be a part of a team to do it is just that much more special.
We always just sit back and we're like, man, we really want to ring. You know what I mean? And it's crazy because, I mean, so many people work towards that goal, work towards that ring, that championship, you know, playing in March Madness and never get to experience it. And you don't really understand how special it is until you accomplish it.
The team had made history in 2022, and they entered into 2023 with the toughest challenge yet: defend the title. To prepare them for their upcoming Big Sky schedule, where the Cats would have the target on their back, the team had to get through a gauntlet of a non-conference. From Oregon to a 3-game tournament in Montreal, right to Southern Utah, and a top 5 Arizona program, to just name a few.
That was a grueling non-conference schedule. I mean, absolute gauntlet.
I'll tell you what, we were always on the road, and like going from Montreal then to Southern Utah, that was just the longest trip ever.
I didn't want them to relax just after winning one championship, because I almost felt more pressure to myself. Like, now we got to go prove it again.
They finished conference play 15-3, highlighted by sweeping the Grizz for the first time since the 2009-10 season. They had the 2 seed and something to defend this time around in Boise.
For us and the culture that, you know, Sprinkle created, it was, you know, we expect to be the hunted. And so that was kind of the mentality that we had.
They had a bullseye on their back all year long, you know, and that's a particular skill.
Being the standard for the conference, we're going to get everyone's best shot every night, every regular season game, every tournament game.
After taking care of business against Northern Colorado, another semifinal dogfight was in store against Weber State.
We thought the game was never going to end. But I think one thing that sticks out is just how hard and how gritty it got for both teams. You know, a Beach team did dirty work. You know, they were fighting, you know, for all the marbles.
Oh, it was physical. I remember it was super physical. It kind of felt like every time we got the possession or they got the possession, we were going to kind of, you know, hold the ball and try to get, you know, run a play and, you know, try to get the best shot we can get. And so it wasn't very, you know, fast paced, but it was really physical.
The game came down to a final possession in double overtime, and it wasn't Sprinkle who made the play call.
That's when Ray was like, Coach, run the same play. I'm going back door and just tell Darius to throw it up.
And I remember like Ray just coming in, he's telling Coach it's going to be open.
And so I was like, all right, hey, that's what we're running.
Throws ahead. Raekwon makes the catch, and that will do it. Raekwon Battle will let it roll out. Put a stamp on it. You are witnessing the golden age of Bobcat basketball. You know, it wasn't a line that was totally scripted in my head or anything, but I had the Golden Bobcats from the 1920s kind of in my head. I had it in my head that, you know, a one-off championship is a one-off championship, but if you go back to the NCAA tournament like that is a moment.
The second one, when the expectations are very high, you bring back a loaded team that should do it again. I think the second one was a little bit harder.
Might have been some tears. It was just super emotional, not just for him, but for the school, and to have him be a part of both of those. You know, he just loves this place.
There's cornerstones of programs, players whose legacies will remain in the rafters for years to come. There may not have been a golden age if it wasn't for Jabril Bello.
He was the most unselfish superstar like I've I've been around.
He was everything. We used to call him MSU JB. This was his university, so he helped really, set the foundation for the work ethic, the physicalness, the toughness, the mental side of the game, all that stuff.
Yeah, we joke saying MSU JB, but honestly, there's a lot of truth behind that, and he deserves all the credit.
He's the best leader, I think to probably ever play, for Montana State. And I know all the guys that I played with, and I played with some great ones, but what Jabril did in his 4 years and how he didn't care about himself at all.
The next offseason, Sprinkle would depart from Bozeman and head to Utah State as their program's next head coach.
He met with us as a team and told us, and it was a pretty cool little meeting that we had. So we got the news that way, and it was cool. We were happy for him for sure.
Well, I remember when Sprinkle got hired, and it was just like, whoa. I remember the weights. We had weights 10 minutes after that, and there were 3 guys at the late weightlifting session just because everyone's like, what do we do?
Montana State was against the clock. They would be the last school in the Division I cycle to hire a head coach who had a roster to fill.
I knew that if he put us in the right position, in a really good position, that he was going to have those opportunities. And then on the backside, that resulted in us having the opportunity to hire a coach like Matt Logie.
We came here to win, and the best is yet to come. Go Cats, go!
We needed a coach that was going to be able to come in and hit the ground running. One, to fill out the coaching staff, but then also to find recruits. We needed 9 new guys to come in and into our program.
We had everyone down to our trainer leave, and so it was, I think Coach Sauer, our weight coach, was the only one that stayed. And he's kind of old, so I don't know if he could have left, but
we had a plan, for our staff that was executed rather quickly, and Coach Payne and Coach Scholl and Coach Smith were all here the following Friday. And so we were able to really hit the ground running and attacking our needs and getting the word out. Also, beginning the process of getting to know this group that was coming back. That was equally as important as adding to the roster.
The guys that decided we're going to stay, we came really close and made it a pact that we were going to stick together.
What a really good coach can do is can lead and direct people, and I think that's one of his biggest skills, is being able to recognize character and bring in the right people. And I think we've seen that through his whole career.
It almost felt like a pickup basketball team, okay, who's going to do this, who's going to do that, who's going to get an opportunity, who's going to prove themselves. And so that was kind of my first impression of just how were all of these pieces going to come together, and how were they going to handle some of the failure that was inevitably going to come their way. The first signature win in the Logie era is a 63-60 triumph in Berkeley against Cal.
going to Cal and getting a Pac-12 win was huge for us. The first time in a minute that has happened. And so that really, solidified what we're capable of.
Then to be able to break through against a Pac-12 opponent like Cal, I think gave everybody, a jolt of confidence and belief in the proof of concept. Obviously came with the bittersweet, painful injury to Pat, and I had to regroup from there. But I think our guys held on to what that meant.
They then entered into conference play, beating a St. Thomas-led Northern Colorado and handing conference top dogs Eastern Washington their first Big Sky loss of the season. But as they trekked through February, the team hit a 4-game slump, with 3 of those losses coming on the road.
It's hard. It's a long season. We start in the summer and we go all the way through March. So when you get to that February stretch, it can kind of feel a little daunting. We just rallied around each other. And made one big push. You said, okay, we're all tired, we're all a little worn out. We've had a rough patch, but we need to just stick to it, keep going, finish the season strong, and we won't regret it when we're done.
That losing streak in the middle of the conference season was hard, but I will say this. Traveling with the team, being on the road, there was still so much focus and there's still energy. You didn't see guys snipping at each other, and it really was just guys getting ready and showing back up to work.
But then everything clicked at the end of February against Portland State, and there was no looking back.
I think the thing that stood out was our community support. That time we were coming off of a 4-game losing streak, and we had our highest crowd, outside of Cat Grizz for that game, and I think it gave our guys a boost when we needed it.
It's a testament to our staff, and the mentality and that they had. once we went through that little stretch. They could have came in here, and, yelled at us and got us on the court and stuff, and they were like, look, we're going to take a day and, regroup. And I want you to come back the next day with, that mentality that we've had all season.
There was also a leader inside the locker room, one whose resilience and work ethic was second to none. He was no stranger to the Bobcat uniform. He just needed a season fully healthy. The name is now etched into Bobcat history. Robert Ford III.
Without that guy, I don't think we'd ever been there.
I think that's the most special year by an individual I've ever encountered.
To see Rob Ford, the way he played all year and to lead that team, he just wasn't going to be denied.
Just having him on the team, you always knew you had a chance because he was never going to back down.
You can't watch him and not want to play hard with him, you know what I mean? You got everybody on the team raised to his level of intensity on any given night.
I'm do everything I can to help my team win. And that's always been my mentality, since I was a kid. I would tell them, relax. There's nothing wrong. They had a good half. We're gonna come in and, I'm gonna fight for you guys. You guys, fight for me. We're gonna be great.
The thing about Rob that really just infiltrated our team was his kind of no-quit attitude.
The Mountains and Minds interviewed me before the season started, and I said, Rob Ford is gonna, I wouldn't be surprised if he's the best guard in the league, because I knew what he was capable of doing. He just wasn't healthy. And this year he was finally healthy, and he just kind of dominated the league, to be honest.
After a roller coaster of a regular season, the team finished 9-9 in conference, wrapping with a 76-64 win over Weber State on senior night. They needed that momentum to carry into the tournament because, they'd faced the same team they just beat 1 week prior in the first round.
We obviously had played a great game, so we weren't sure if we should make any adjustments ourselves. And so it's kind of like those first 5-6 minutes of the game, you got to kind of see what adjustments they did, and then we got to adjust from that.
It was going to be on them to make some adjustments to move on from there, and then had that occurred, then the next play would be ours to make.
And the Bobcats needed another spark going into the second, down 34-25.
We're already down. What do we have to lose? This team's supposed to beat us. So we just came out firing and shots went in. Attribute some of that to luck, but 14 field goals in a row, that doesn't happen very often, or 66 points and a half is pretty crazy.
That's just players out there having fun. We were having fun. We were throwing up, three-pointers or whatever after we would make it. We all had fun.
I saw our rankings at that time, their last 5 games, they were actually second best team in Big Sky. And so they weren't no slouch. They beat Eastern for a reason.
They're gonna be, the bulldozers. They're gonna come in, they're gonna try to run us over, and if we let them back us down, they're gonna win. But if we stand up and hold our ground, it's gonna be a long night.
Remember they made a little late run, and the fact that I think we scored a couple possessions in a row and sealed it, it really just kind of showed what we were all about.
Here we go. 3 to tie for Sac State. 0.2 on the clock. Looking to inbound. Fired. Picked off by Lecolot. Bobcats win it. It's the decade of the Bobcats.
Before we left, we're standing around outside the brick, outside of our bus, and I'm talking to Carter, and I'm talking to Brian, I'm talking to Sam and John. I was like, so you guys want me to use anything? What do you got? You guys got anything for me? And Sam was just like, decade of the Bobcats. I was like, all right, cool. I'll keep it in the back of my mind. Montana State, they are the best basketball team that has played, best basketball program that has played in Boise, and in the 2020s, nobody else has been to the championship game the way Montana State has, and it's the decade of the Bobcats.
You want to stamp that legacy? Won a 3rd championship in a row. This time around felt different, though, as the team that stood in front of them was the one from over the hill.
We had a lot of confidence going into that last game that they were about to play somebody they had never played before.
The biggest thing everyone thought about was it's a rival game, it's gonna be sold out, it's gonna be crazy in here. But one thing we all preach were it's just another game.
Handoff for Patterson. Crosses over, gets free. His right wing 3. Oh yeah! Tyler Patterson from downtown. Bobcats back on top.
It's a moment you for sure dream of, to be able to be in that position to give your team the lead in the conference championship, whether whether or not who you're playing, but then to be able to do it against, you know, the Grizz.
Ford to the elbow, stops, pops, jumper, yeah. Oh, baby. Robert Ford with another theft. One of the great defensive seasons in program history.
Being Bobcat built to me is just being tough, you know, doing what it takes. If you got to dive on the floor to get a loose ball, you got to jump up, fight somebody for a rebound, like, you got to do what it takes.
Olmstead's going to be one of those stories that'll be told for years of the program. Free throw is good. As somebody who stayed ready, and when his opportunity came, he did not miss. Pivotal role here in the Big Sky tournament.
We all knew it could happen. It was just a matter of time. It was so cool to see, and the fact that like he continued to play like that throughout the tournament. It was special.
Picked off Rob Ford, his 100th steal of the year, and that will ice it. The Golden Bobcats continue their march. Montana State has done it.
Special. For, you know, a coach like that to come in his first year and win, it's tough to do. You don't see it, you know, many times.
The conclusion of that journey and proof that, you know, everything that we had preached throughout the year can lead to success like that was really, you know, meaningful and a proud moment for, I think, for our entire coaching staff.
I would not think that going to March Madness 3 times was possible. Yeah, I'd probably call you crazy if you said that. That's just unheard of.
These are the good old days. Montana State wins the 2024 Big Sky Tournament Championship. Bill Lamberty. I called him the day of the game, and we were just talking through some of the stuff. I was double checking some of the numbers, and you know, it's just the things that aren't in the stats are, you know, what is this like? What does this feel like? And we're just kind of talking back and forth, and he just kind of offhand was just like, man, these are the good old days. And I was like, wow.
I just think the words kind of came out of my mouth, but it's so obvious and so true that this program is experiencing sustained success that it really hasn't experienced since the 20s, really. I mean, the 30s and the 50s and the 60s, there's been great success all along through the years, but not this much.
I mean, it's a childhood dream come true for me. That's something you always think about, you know, the opportunity to go to March Madness, and you watch it on TV as a kid and you're just like, man, like, I'd love to be there. And then you get there and it's almost surreal.
There's a magnitude of accomplishing 3 straight trips to March Madness from a 1-bid league. They did it as a 1, a 2, and a 5 seed. They did it despite all the odds and across 2 different coaching staffs.
Now it's time to make some noise in the tournament. It's not just getting to the tournament is enough. It's winning games in the tournament. And why can't Montana State be that Cinderella team that makes a run?
So, Golden Bobcats, the stage is yours.